My name is Noel. I was born in a poor town, in a small house, with a broken roof. My mother worked hard, cleaned rich houses, came home tired, but always smiled. I never knew my father. He left before I was born. We never spoke. We never met. I had a little sister. Her name was Rosa. She had big eyes and loved to draw. We didn't have toys. We didn't have books. We didn't have shoes. But we had each other. We ate simple food, slept on the floor, shared one blanket, and stayed warm together. In the morning, I helped Mama, washed dishes, carried water, and took care of Rosa. At night, Mama came home. Her hands were red, her back hurt, but she kissed us both. When I turned 9, I started working. I collected cans, bottles, and old metal. I walked for hours, searched trash bins, carried big bags, and sold what I found. People laughed at me, called me trash boy. They didn't look, they didn't care. Some closed their doors, some crossed the street, some just stared and whispered things. I didn't cry, I didn't fight, I didn't shout, I just kept going. I wanted to help Mama, I wanted food for Rosa, I wanted us to live better. In the garbage, I found magazines. Some were dirty, some were ripped, some were whole. I loved the ones with pictures. People in nice clothes, walking on shiny floors. I showed Rosa. I said, "Look at this, they wear gold. They smile, they shine." She laughed and said, "One day, I'll make you clothes. I'll design them. I promise." We dreamed at night while the rain hit the roof. We closed our eyes and saw a new world. A world without hunger, without pain, without fear, just light and music. Years passed, I got taller, I got stronger, but we were still poor. I cleaned cars, I sold gum, I carried bags, and worked on construction sites. Every job was hard, every day was long, every night was cold, but I didn't stop. I didn't have time for school, but I learned from life, from people, from mistakes. I never forgot those pictures, those bright lights, those smiling faces, those clothes. I would look at my reflection, dirty and tired, and wonder, could that be me? I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but something inside me said, keep going. So I did. I worked, I waited, I hoped, I believed. One day I was sweeping the street, dust all around, sun in my face, sweat on my neck. A woman passed by holding a camera. She stopped and looked at me. I looked away. I felt shy. I kept sweeping. But she stayed. She took a picture without asking, then smiled and said, "Thank you." She walked away. I thought nothing of it. I went back to work and forgot. But that simple photo, changed everything without me knowing. She posted it online. People saw it, shared it, and asked, "Who is he?" Strangers started talking. They saw something in me, something I didn't see. 3 days later, she came back. She asked my name and told me hers. Her name was Clara. She was a photographer. She worked in the city and liked real faces. She said, "There's something about you, something rare, something strong." I didn't understand. I just smiled and said, "I'm Noel." She asked if I wanted a chance, a try, a new door, a new path. I was scared. I had doubts. I looked at my clothes. I felt small. But then I thought of Rosa, of Mama, of our dreams, of those magazines. So I said yes, with a quiet voice and a beating heart. I said yes. The next morning, I wore my cleanest shirt, brushed my hair, and waited for Clara. My hands were shaking, my stomach was tight, I felt excited but also afraid. She arrived with the car, smiled at me, and said, "Are you ready?" I nodded slowly, held my breath, and stepped inside. It was my first time in a real studio. Big lights, white walls, strange machines. They asked me to stand, to look at the camera, to just be myself. I didn't know what to do. I stood still, looked down, and felt confused. But Clara said, "Don't worry, just breathe, just look at me." She talked while taking pictures, told jokes, made me laugh, made me relax. Little by little, I felt calm, I smiled, I looked up, I looked strong. After the session, she said, "You did well, very well, I'm proud." No one had said that to me before, not like that, not with such truth. She showed the pictures to her friends, to designers, to modeling agents. Most of them said no, they didn't see it. They said I was too raw. But one small brand said yes. They liked my eyes, they liked my story. They said, "Let's try something different. Let's show something real." My first job was simple. Just a few photos, with old clothes, in the street. But I gave my all, I stood tall. I looked straight, I believed. People started to notice, started to ask, "Who is that boy?" They liked my look, not perfect, not polished, but true. Clara helped me every step, taught me how to walk, how to pose, how to speak. She bought me my first proper shoes, my first real shirt, my first suit. I stood in front of the mirror, couldn't believe it, couldn't stop smiling. Rosa cried when she saw me, hugged me tight, said, "You look like a movie star." Mama didn't say much, but her eyes were full. She touched my face and whispered, "Gracias." I worked harder than ever, studied fashion, learned English, trained every day. Every time I felt tired, I remembered the trash, the hunger, the names they called me. And I told myself, keep going, keep walking, keep dreaming, keep fighting. One evening I was invited to a fashion show, not to walk, just to watch. The room was big, full of lights, music, and beautiful people everywhere. I felt out of place. My hands were sweaty. My heart was loud. But I stayed. I looked. I watched. I learned. A famous designer came to me, shook my hand, said, "I've seen your picture." He looked at me with interest, asked, "Would you model for our next shoot?" I froze, couldn't speak, just nodded and smiled like a little boy. It felt like magic, like a dream, but it was real. It was happening. That job changed everything. Big cameras, real makeup, beautiful clothes, real models. They treated me with respect, showed me how to move, how to stand, how to shine. I listened carefully, practiced every step, gave my best in every shot. The photos went online, people shared them, talked about the new face. Noel, they said. A name to watch, a story to follow, a heart to remember. People from magazines called, wanted interviews, wanted to know more. They asked about my past, about my family, about my pain, my dreams. I told them everything. Nothing to hide, no shame, just truth. They wrote articles, used words like inspiring, unique, powerful, and real. I didn't care about fame or followers or fans. I cared about my family. I sent money to Mama, paid for Rosa's school, fixed the house, bought a fridge. We finally had warm food, clean water, soft beds, and peace. But something in me stayed the same. The boy who carried cans. The boy who watched stars at night and whispered dreams in the dark. The boy who believed in light, even when life was full of shadows. That boy still lives in me, still walks with me every single day. Clara said once, "Fame fades, but your soul, that stays." So I promised myself, no matter what happens, I will not forget. Not the streets, not the hunger, not the pain, not the tears, because they made me, shaped me, built me, and gave me wings. I started training every single day in my small room with broken mirrors. I walked like models, posed with confidence, watched fashion shows, learned their moves. My clothes were simple, my shoes were old, but I used my smile and stood tall. I believed in myself, even when tired, even when hungry, even when sad. Emma supported me, gave me tips, showed me videos, and clapped for me. She bought me a shirt, said, "You need this." I almost cried, but I smiled. She said I had talent. She said I had fire. She said I was different. I believed her. She came to every shoot, helped with makeup, fixed my hair, cheered from behind. The first time I got paid, I gave it to Mom. She cried hard. I hugged her tight. I said, "We'll be okay." She held my face, kissed my hands, said, "I'm proud." My sister jumped, screamed with joy, danced around, said, "We are rich." We weren't rich yet, but we were alive. We had hope. We had each other. I remember one night, I sat alone, looked at the sky, and cried softly. I thought of the past, all the pain, all the names, all the laughs. They called me trash. They pushed me down. They kicked my dreams, but I stood. I wiped my tears, looked in the mirror, said, "You are not that boy anymore." Big brands came, asked for shoots, sent contracts. I didn't believe it. They flew me out, gave me suits, took me to hotels, gave me food. I walked on stage. People clapped. Cameras flashed. I stood tall. I wasn't scared. I wasn't shy. I was ready. I was born for this. The city lights shined. Music played. My heart beat fast, but I smiled. They said, "Perfect walk." They said, "Amazing eyes." I thanked them all, stayed humble. Every step I took, I remembered the streets, the garbage bags, the hunger. I remembered the cold nights, the dirty clothes, the broken dreams. But I smiled. One man came, big agent, rich suit, serious face, asked for a talk. He said, "You're special," said, "We want you," gave me a card, shook my hand. I took the chance. I took the risk. I flew to Paris, started again. New place, new people, new fear, but same heart. They said I was different, said I didn't fit, said he's from the streets. But one woman saw me, stared at me, didn't blink, then smiled. She said, "You're raw." She said, "You're honest." She gave me a chance, just once. That once became twice, then more, then doors opened like magic. I walked in Milan, camera flashes, music loud, people cheering. My name was on the list, my photo on the wall, my face in the lights. I stood behind the curtain, heart racing, hands cold, but eyes strong. Then I walked. Strong steps, steady breath, proud heart, real smile. People wrote stories, used my photo, called me the boy from the dirt. They didn't know me, not really, but they felt something, something true. Kids from my street watched me, sent messages, said, "You make us proud." That made me cry, made me feel big, made me feel full, more than fame. Emma sent me flowers, said, "Told you." I laughed hard, said, "You were right." We talked for hours about dreams, about change, about love. She said she believed since day one, even when I didn't, and she smiled. I said thank you many times, but it never felt enough. Never. One day I stood on a balcony, looked down at the crowd, waving hands. I felt the wind, closed my eyes, thought of my past, and breathed in. This life, this journey, this story started with dirt, but ended in light. I was still Noel, still the same, but stronger, clearer, louder. My name was now known on posters, on covers, on screens. But inside, I was the same boy, the same dream, the same fight. People clapped, people smiled, but I still remembered every pain, every tear, every cold night, every no, every door that shut. I visited my old street, walked alone, remembered everything, touched the walls, the shop where I waited, the spot where I cried, the place I hid. A little boy ran to me, dirty hands, wide eyes, big smile. He said, "Are you him?" I said, "Yes," and gave him a hug. I gave him chocolate. He gave me joy. His eyes sparkled. He said, "I want to be like you." I said, "You can be better." I sat on the ground with him, told him stories, showed him pictures. He laughed, then hugged me again. I almost cried, but smiled instead. I started a small school, just a room with books and chairs. Called it Faces of Hope, because I saw faces full of dreams. Kids came every day, barefoot, hungry, curious, full of light. They drew, painted, danced, sang, and forgot the pain for a while. One girl danced beautifully. She moved like magic, soft and free. Another boy drew houses full of color with gardens and dogs. They were small but strong, broken but full of gold inside. I saw myself in them, lost, tired, but still shining bright. Big magazines came, wanted interviews, wanted my story, asked many things. Some wanted drama, others wanted fame, but I gave truth. I told them about hunger, about shame, about hard days. I told them about Mom, about Emma, about my sister's laugh. One reporter asked me, "What changed you?" I said, "Love. Not money, not clothes, not flights, but love from people. A woman who believed, a mother who worked, a sister who dreamed. That's what built me. Not fashion, not brands, not lights. I flew to New York, big show, biggest stage, high pressure. People watched from everywhere, stars, fans, strangers, family. I closed my eyes before walking, remembered my small room. I stepped out, lights hit me, music started, I walked proud. After the show, a man came, old, kind eyes, soft voice. He said, "You made me cry." I said, "Why?" He said, "Hope." He showed me his phone, my photo, his son's smile. He said, "You gave him dreams, thank you." I hugged him. I started writing, small notes, little thoughts, midnight talks with myself. Words about life, about fear, about fighting quietly, about healing. Posted them online, many read, many felt, many cried. They said, "It's like you know me," and I smiled softly. Emma sent me a voice note. "You're changing lives," I cried again. She was right, I was, but I didn't feel like a hero. I was just a boy who walked, kept walking, didn't stop. Sometimes with tears, sometimes hungry, but always forward, always. My mom called one day, said, "I bought a house." I screamed, laughed, jumped, said, "Really?" She said, "Yes." She said, "You did this." I said, "No." We did. She cried again. I did too. We sat on the phone. Quiet. I visited her next week, saw the house, saw her smile. It wasn't big, but it was ours. It was safe. She cooked. I sat on the floor. We talked for hours. She said, "I never gave up." I said, "Me too." My sister had grown, now a teen, smart and funny. She wore glasses, drew dresses, showed me her designs. I said, "You're amazing," she said. "You inspired me." She showed me one sketch, said, "This is for you." It was a suit, bold colors, strong lines, full of heart. I wore it later at a show. People loved it. I said, "My sister made this." They clapped loud, cheered hard. She watched from home, screamed with joy, called me crying. I traveled to Africa for a campaign, saw kids like me. Same eyes, same dirt, same fire inside, same dreams. I played with them, taught them poses, gave hugs. I told them, "You are not small." They smiled big. We took photos, laughed loud, danced together under the sun. I gave them shoes, books, hope, and my time. It was the best day. No camera, no stage, just truth. I felt peace, real peace. the kind that fills the soul. Later that night, I sat alone in my room with tea. I thought of life, how far I came, how deep I fell. From trash to light, from street to stage, from nothing to voice. I whispered, thank you, to life, to pain, to love. People started calling me by name, not by my job, not by my clothes, just Noel. I walked through places I once cleaned. Now I was the guest, not the worker, not the shadow. They asked me questions, took my photo, smiled at me kindly, but I stayed calm. I remembered the cold nights, the trash bags, the dirty hands, the hunger inside. Nothing came easy, not the walk, not the smile, not the fame, not the lights. I still felt that street boy inside, the boy with broken shoes and big dreams. My sister cried the first time. She saw my face on a magazine. She screamed with joy. She said, I told you, I would make your suit. And I said, you did, in my heart. We laughed, we hugged, we remembered Mama, her tired eyes, her broken back. Mama never wore makeup, never went to parties, but she was the most elegant woman. She taught me to stand up, to speak little, to help others, and to never give up. I now help kids like me, kids with no books, no beds, no peace, but strong hearts. I sit with them, I listen to them, I tell them stories, I teach them hope. They don't need pity, they need power, they need love, they need a chance. One boy said to me, do you think I can be like you? I said, you can be better. Another girl gave me a drawing. It was me in a suit, holding a broom, with stars behind. She said, you clean sadness from the world. And I cried without shame. Sometimes I still feel afraid, not of people, not of cameras, but of forgetting. I don't want to forget the trash smell, the cold mornings, the empty stomach. That pain made me who I am. That fight made my walk strong, my heart wide. In big rooms with bright lights, I still close my eyes and remember my alley. I walk with pride, but not with pride in me, with pride in my journey and in my people. This life is a mirror. It shows you what you carry, not just what you wear. When people say, you're lucky, I smile and think of the years I was invisible. No one saw me then, no one clapped, no one asked for my name, no one waited. But I waited. I waited for the day someone would say, I see you. Now I want to say that to others. I see you. I believe in you. I'm with you. We all carry a fire, some hide it, some lose it, some let it grow. I carried mine through the dirt, through rain, through shame, and now it shines. Not because I'm special, but because I didn't let it die. So if you are tired, if you feel small, if people laugh, don't stop. Walk your road, carry your dream, talk to yourself, and don't give up. You are not trash, you are not lost, you are light, you are needed. You are not just one face. You are a story. You are a voice. You are a future. And remember this, when you fall, fall with honor and rise with grace. Your pain is real, but so is your power. so is your path. So is your hope. This is not just my story. This is for every boy with dirty hands and a golden heart. This is for every girl who draws stars, even when the world gives her darkness. This is for you, whoever you are, wherever you are. Keep walking. Because one day, someone will look at you and say, "This face, we will not forget."